Right On Press Nigeria presents Not Just Another Suit, a Right On Press feature distributed by Right On Press for Right On Press Nigeria, narrated by Makani. Part 1. Happy Hour. It was the last 2 hours of my bar shift on the day my life would be changed forever. I was tending bar at the Hyatt Regency in a small town a few miles from Baltimore, Maryland. There were a few businessmen enjoying cocktails while discussing work and their products at my bar. Soft happy hour music was playing on the intercom, and having finished all the prep work for the evening fare, I was chatting with a few stragglers who were sipping spirits and unwinding from their busy workday. This was the time I made the most money on my shift. I had time to listen to my clients and establish a rapport with them. This was the way to build a following of regulars in the transient bar business. A good bartender knows how to make clients feel they have a safe place to release their stresses and not be judged. A couple of salesmen were talking to me about their music collections. Fred was totally into country music, and Bill was a jazz connoisseur. I happen to love pretty much all music, so the conversation was lively with talk of the latest songs and performers. I took a quick glance around the bar to make sure no one needed another beverage. I saw a new client strolling up to the bar, and I turned to Fred and Bill and excused myself for the new arrival. "Hello there," I said as he sat down on the bar stool. "How are you today?" I asked, placing a coaster in front of him. "I am well, thank you," he responded, catching me off guard with his deep voice and striking blue eyes. What may I get for you this afternoon?" I stuttered. It was those eyes. I usually didn't have any problems meeting new people, but there was something hauntingly different about this man. "I'll have a Bloody Mary, please," he answered with a smile. "Of course." I mumbled and went to the station to prepare the drink for him. Something told me not to use the standard commercial mix, so I prepared his drink from scratch. My own recipe using horseradish and lemon with the other ingredients. I stuck a fresh stalk of celery in the drink and served it to him. "Thank you. Would you please start a tab for me? I am meeting a business associate," he explained. "No problem," I answered. "Enjoy your drink." As I walked away from him, I couldn't stop thinking about his eyes. Eyes are supposed to be the mirror of the soul, so I was determined to figure out what was in his soul. I could tell by the way he carried himself that he was definitely a confident and successful man. He was very well dressed, probably an Armani suit, silk at best. His tie had flecks of teal that nearly matched the unusual color of his eyes. This man was not just another suit. "This is the best Bloody Mary I've had in a long time. Thank you for making it fresh. I watched you. Most bars are serving drink mixes these days. Do I taste horseradish?" he asked. "Why, yes, you do. It is how my father used to make his Bloody Marys. I never acquired a taste for the drink. I don't like tomatoes, but I get many compliments on them," I answered. "Well, Miss Lily, you surely have my compliments. Oh, I read your name tag. I hope you don't mind." "Not at all," I smiled. "That is why we wear them." "I am James," he said, reaching out his right hand to shake mine. "Nice to meet you, James." "And you as well, Lily. And might I add that your name really fits you. Your demeanor reminds me very much of a lily. You are beautiful like a lily, fair-skinned, light eyes, delicate, but also sturdy. I am usually a good reader of people. I can see that you're a strong person who has endured more than a woman of your age should have." As he spoke, his words burned into my ears, my heart, and my soul. How could he know who I am? Am I that transparent? I have tried very hard to hide all my pain and insecurities from everyone. No one here knows what I have lived through. except my daughters. I don't know what to say. Again, I stammered. I am sorry. I didn't mean to make you feel uncomfortable. Sometimes I just blurt out what I'm thinking. Again, I'm sorry. He looked so apologetic. I almost felt sorry for him. Oh, it's okay. It just felt a little creepy because I never thought of myself that way. I never thought of myself as beautiful, merely average. Delicate but sturdy is an interesting thought. I just am amazed that you zeroed in on that after just meeting me. You aren't a detective, are you? Oh, heavens no. Why, are you in some kind of trouble? He almost whispered the question. Not at all, I answered. I just wondered. I excused myself and went about my work. The bar filled by 5 o'clock, so I was kept busy taking care of my customers. My shift ended at 6, when the night crew came on board. When James's drink was empty, I offered to make him another. He asked for a scotch and soda this time, saying that the Bloody Mary had been his lunch. I chuckled and made a comment about not eating healthy. I saw him texting on his phone, wondering if he was texting his wife or girlfriend. Surely a good-looking man like he would not be single. But I glanced at his left hand, and there was no wedding band. Why was I even thinking about him that way? I just met him, and I knew nothing about him, and I really didn't think I was ready to hook up with another man after what I had been through in my marriage. When Kelly, the evening bartender, came on duty, I checked my guests to see if there was anything else I could get for them and to close out their tabs. When I checked with James, he leaned toward me and asked me quietly if I would join him for dinner. We were not allowed to dine with guests there at the Hyatt, so I informed him of that, declining his offer. How about if I meet you next door at the Italian restaurant? I would really like to continue our conversation about my people-reading skills. He smiled as he spoke. I don't know why, but I really wanted to talk to this man, but I knew that I shouldn't. If you wait here until I check out, I will stop back and let you know. He nodded, and I went back to the office with my register drawer and bar checks to close out. I made a call to my sitter to see if she could keep the girls for a couple hours for me. She was excited to hear that I had a date and jumped at the chance to watch them for me. She was a godsend. When I went back out to the bar to get my things, I said goodbye to some of my regulars and walked over to him and told him that I would meet him next door. He smiled and those eyes sparkled at me. I made a quick stop at the restroom to fix my hair and touch up my makeup. Not that I ever wore a lot. I took my jeans and my sweater from my tote bag and pulled them on and stashed my uniform in the bag. Then I went out to my car and drove from the Hyatt to the restaurant's parking lot. I pulled in next to a black Mercedes. Must be nice, I thought. Part 2. Pasta du jour. My internal alarm system went off as I stepped into the lobby of the restaurant and the hostess approached me. I nearly turned and fled. Are you Lily? She asked sweetly. I froze. How did she know? Yes, I am. Your dinner partner asked me to show you to your table. Follow me. She took my arm and led me into the room and over to a small table next to a large fireplace where James sat, smiling at me with those mysterious eyes. He rose as we approached and walked around the table to pull out my chair for me. Wow, it has been a long time since I was treated like a lady. I guess chivalry is not dead, I chuckled nervously as I was seated. The hostess mumbled something about enjoying our dinner as she headed back to the hostess station. A beautiful lady should always be respected, James stated, as he returned to his seat. I am so happy you agreed to dine with me this evening, Lily. My meeting was postponed until tomorrow morning, and I always hate dining alone. I want you to know that I don't always go out with strangers who ask me. As a matter of fact, I have not been on a date in a very long time. I felt the need to explain, mainly because I didn't want him to think I was an easy mark. or that he was going to get any further with me tonight. After I said that, I felt a little sheepish. Somehow I knew that about you, Lily. As I said earlier, I have a good knack for reading people. And even though you try to hide it well, I can see that you have been deeply hurt by someone or something in your life. I am not a fortune teller, so I do not know who or what it was, but if you want to talk, I am a good listener. Again, I felt the truth burning into me. I have never told anyone else about the trauma my daughters and I have lived through. I felt really drawn to this man for some reason or other, but I was really not ready to spill my guts to him. I didn't really know him at all, but I was not opposed to getting to know such a good-looking and interesting man. Thank you, James, but I would like to spend our time getting to know each other first. Is that okay with you? I asked. Absolutely, Miss Lily. You start. Well, I don't really know where to start. I guess I could begin with the fact that I am fairly new to this area. My daughters and I moved here back in April. The girls are 5-year-old twins, Michaela and Madison. Awesome. Twins always fascinated me. I, too, have a daughter, Emmeline. She's 12. Her mother passed away when Emmy was 4, and she and I have been living with my parents in England until a couple of years ago, when she insisted that she should live with her father. I struggle with being a single father of a young lady. It is hard. Perhaps you can give me some pointers. He sounded sincere. Somehow, I felt a little more comfortable knowing that he was a father, and ecstatic that he is a single dad. It seemed to make him a little more approachable. I relaxed and smiled back at him. I would be happy to do that. The waiter stopped by to tell us about the specials and to take our drink and appetizer orders. James ordered an appetizer special with calamari and mozzarella sticks. I liked both. So we chatted a bit more about our daughters and discovered that our girls did have a few things in common, such as ballet and Barbie dolls. Emmy didn't really play with her dolls much anymore, but she had a fabulous collection of them. The twins just started taking ballet lessons when we moved to Maryland, and Emmy had studied dancing since she was 7. Small world. When our appetizer was served, we placed our dinner order as well. The food was fabulous, as was the company. The rest of the dinner proceeded with conversation, mostly led by James. He talked about his marriage to his former wife. It appeared that she was very much a social butterfly. They lived in England during their marriage. When she found out she was pregnant with Emmy, she was not the least bit happy about becoming a mother. She knew that it would cramp her social life. Since James traveled so much for business, she was always flitting about here and there around Europe. One of the jet set, you might say. She tried to have an abortion, but James found out and stopped her. He stayed at home for the duration of her pregnancy, running his business via fax and telephone. After Emmy was born, his wife went into postpartum depression and shut herself off from everyone. James hired a nanny to take care of the baby, and he went back to work, coming home on the weekends. Elizabeth, his wife, went back to her gallivanting, this time taking it a bit more seriously. She became addicted to recreational drugs and eventually killed herself by a massive overdose. James had tried to get her help, but she refused it, partying even more. I could see the sadness in his eyes as he talked about the ordeal. That was what I had seen in his eyes. Sadness, desperation, intense pain. Oh, James, I am so sorry you had to deal with that. It must have been horrible. I understood the pain he suffered. I reached out and took his hand in mine. I feel your pain. How in the world did you get through all of that? Well, someone once said that whatever doesn't kill you will make you stronger. I guess I am living proof of that. He shrugged and uttered a sad sort of chuckle. So now I must make the best of being a single father to a budding, almost teenage daughter. She claims that she is much happier being with me than being with her grandparents. But I can't help but wonder how she can be. with the amount of traveling we do all the time. I yearn to give her a normal home like other kids her age. It must be exciting for her to travel and see so many different places. I would love to travel and show my daughters the world. Different cultures are so fascinating. Are you British? You don't have the accent. No, I was born and raised in Denver. I went to England to study international business at Oxford, where I met Elizabeth. She did not want to come to the States with me, so I ended up staying there with her. I was an only child. My parents hated my being so far away, so I moved them to England. They fit in well and seemed to like it, so they stayed. I see, I said. It would be a wonderful place to retire. A world of different cultures at your fingertips. I was jealous of them. I must stay over another day to fulfill my appointment that was rescheduled. I would like to see you again, Lily, he said, smiling. I really enjoy talking to you. I don't think that I ever opened up like that to anyone before. I feel so comfortable with you. And I feel comfortable with you also. Yes, I would enjoy seeing you again. It happens that I'm off tomorrow. What did you have in mind? I really wanted to see him again. Well, my meeting is in the morning at 8:30, and I should be free by 11. Would you like to meet for lunch? I can come by and pick you up. Or if you want to meet me somewhere, I'm okay with that as well. Here is my card. Call or text me and let me know where you would like to meet me. He reached in his pocket and pulled out a gold card holder, pulled one out and handed it to me. I didn't read it. I just stashed it in my jeans pocket. Thank you so much for dinner, James. I really enjoyed talking with you too. I will definitely call or text you in the morning. I rose, as he did as well. I will walk you out to your car, Lily. I took his arm and we walked out to the parking lot to my small Toyota. He opened the door for me, and as I turned to thank him, he bent down and kissed my forehead. Thank you, Lily, for a lovely evening. Good night, he said as he helped me into my car and closed the door. I just sat there, kind of dumbfounded by the kiss on the forehead. It was sweet. Very much a gentleman he was. I put my key in the ignition and started the car. As I turned to see if anyone was behind me, I saw him get into the Mercedes next to mine. It figured. Class all the way. When I got home, I paid the sitter and sent her on her way after I told her about the handsome man who took me to dinner. She had been bugging me to go out once in a while, but I really wasn't ready. Plus, I didn't know many people here yet. I played a few games with the girls until it was bedtime. Then I tucked them in and said good night. I loved them so much. Now I finally had the time to think about my evening with James. He opened up to me about his personal life. I found that very unusual for a man. Most of the men I knew were famous for keeping secrets. They were way too macho to admit they had been hurt. One would have to pry information out of them. Yet James openly bared his wounds to me, and we were strangers to each other. I thought about it and decided that it was probably his way of making me comfortable to talk about myself. I now know that he's a loving father, and he wants the best things for his daughter. I know that he's a widower, having lost his wife to a drug overdose, probably intentional. I know that he is a businessman, a successful one, by his Mercedes and his clothes. He is an only child, born and raised in Denver, schooled at Oxford, parents live in England, and I know that I am definitely interested in learning more about him. I went into my bedroom to get ready for bed, and when I pulled off my jeans, his card fell out of the pocket and onto the floor. I bent to pick it up and took a long look at it. His name is James Michael Fulton. His company is called Fulton Conglomerates. He owns his own company, or companies. Conglomerates means multiple businesses. Wow! I walked over to my desk and turned on my PC. I Googled James Michael Fulton. There he was, one of the top 10 wealthiest men in the world. Suddenly, I was terrified of seeing him again. Part 3. Lunch on the Chesapeake. My alarm woke me from a sound sleep. I lay in bed thinking about the night before and the handsome man who treated me to dinner. I was excited to see him again, but still terrified. He was so famous. How could I continue to hide from my past with a man who was so publicly followed? I slowly got out of bed and proceeded to get the girls off to school. After hugs and kisses, I watched them get on the bus. They were so beautiful, their dark hair shining in the sunlight. They found their seats and waved out the window as they always did. I watched the bus pull away and head off to the next stop. I turned and went back into the house. Downing my morning coffee, I sat staring at the business card on the table. Should I text him and cancel? I thought. Against my better judgment, I picked up my cell phone and sent a text that said, "Call me when you are finished with your meeting." I really planned on begging out of the date. I took my phone into the bathroom with me and jumped into the shower. I closed my eyes as the hot water beat down, penetrating my skin. I could see his face and those eyes. As I was sitting at my vanity blowing my hair dry, my phone rang. I felt heat rise in my body when I saw his number on the phone. I answered the call with a lump in my throat. "Hello, Miss Lily. Are you okay? You sound like you might be getting a cold." He sounded concerned. His voice was calming, and again, I felt strangely at ease. "Oh no, James. I just stepped out of the shower. I am fine." But was I really? "Great. I am so anxious to see you again. Where and when can we meet?" he asked. My heart answered for me as my brain was somewhere in the woods. "How about I meet you at Inner Harbor near the aquarium around 11? Will you be finished with your business by then?" "I am finished now. I will wait for you there, my dear." I could hear him smile through the phone. I felt my heart racing. "Okay. Are you casual today?" I asked, thinking about him in his Armani suit and me in my jeans last evening. "Yes," he chuckled. "I will be in jeans today." "Awesome. I love to be casual. I will see you at 11. We ended the call and I proceeded to style my hair and put on light makeup. I chose white jeans with a hot pink blouse and white sandals. It was a warm spring day, and I couldn't wait to be down by the bay with James. My spirit lifted as I drove down to the Inner Harbor area. I parked in a parking garage near the aquarium. I locked my car and walked gingerly from the garage, heading to the busy area. There were tourist groups and business people milling around, and as I caught sight of him, I could again feel the heat rising in my body. He had a big smile on his face, showing off his white teeth, and those eyes burned right through to my soul. "Hello, gorgeous." His hands reached out for mine. "Hello, James." I smiled, joining my hands to his. "You look radiant in the sunshine, Lily. The rays beam off your golden hair like a crown, and your eyes are the bluest of blue. Do you have any idea just how beautiful you are?" "Thank you, James. You flatter me," I said rather shyly. No one ever talked to me like this before. "I have the most wonderful surprise for you today. Come, let's walk to the other side of the harbor." He took my hand and led the way. We walked past all of the little shops and the boats that were harbored there. The science center was dead ahead of us. I had brought the girls here a few times to see IMAX movies about cool scientific things. They loved it here. Then we came upon the docks where there were many yachts just sitting there soaking up the sunshine. James pulled me to the left onto a pier where we looked at the different boats. Then he stopped at a medium-sized yacht. He led me to the ramp to board the boat. He got on board first and turned to reach for my hands and helped me to board. I was floored. I had never been on a yacht before. "Is this yours?" I asked. No, I just chartered it for the day. We are going to wine and dine while enjoying this beautiful day. Have a seat over there. He pointed to a lounge bench. I want to check with the crew. I am totally overwhelmed, I managed to squeak out. I was so blown away that this was happening to me. He disappeared below deck, and I just sat there dumbfounded, looking around at the boat, the harbor. It was like a dream. As James returned, another man in sailing attire approached and boarded the yacht. I assumed that he was the pilot or whatever they are called. I was right. He looked over at me and smiled as he said, "Welcome aboard." He set right to work getting the boat ready to depart. James joined me on the bench. "Are you ready to sail the harbor, my lady?" he asked with a smile. "I'm ready if you are," I responded. He put his arm around me on the back of the seat, and we enjoyed the scenery as the captain eased the yacht from the docks and started the tour of the harbor. Wow, you are a total surprise, James. I really am at a loss for words. Nothing like this has ever happened to me before. I feel like a fairy princess. Mission accomplished, then, he said with a smile. I want to get to know you much better, and I thought a nice cruise would be a chance for you to tell me all about yourself. I talked away our dinner last night. You know more about me than most people know, and I don't even know your last name. Well, I can help you out with that. My last name is Bennett. At least the name I go by now is Bennett. I felt a little bold now. Maybe I would tell him my story. I really thought that he seemed trustworthy. He looked at me a little oddly, but smiled and told me to go on. I'm in a witness protection situation. My real name is Susan Turner. I was married to a policeman who went on the take. He got himself involved with some really bad drug dealers who paid him well for his protection. I had no idea that he was doing this and putting his family in such danger. He started to get nervous about getting caught, and he turned our home life into a nightmare. He was short with the kids. He took to smacking me around, bloody noses and black eyes. I begged him to go for counseling, but he, of course, refused, being too tough and cocky to admit that he had a problem. Oh, sweetie, I am so sorry you had to deal with that. Did he get caught? James asked. I found out quite by accident what he was up to when he forgot his cell phone one night. His phone rang, and I picked it up thinking that he was probably calling his phone to find where it was. I said, "Hello there." The voice on the other end bellowed, "Who the hell is this?" I quickly replied, "Who the hell is this?" He answered, "You have no business using this phone, bitch." I couldn't believe my ears. This is my husband's phone. I have every right to use it if I want to. Who are you? Don't worry about who this is. I will be your worst nightmare, bitch. Then he hung up. I was scared shitless. My first thought was to call my husband at work, but then again, I thought about why he would be talking to people like this on his phone. So I called the state police and talked to the duty officer. They asked me to meet them somewhere with the phone, so I loaded the girls into the car and drove to a local fast food restaurant to meet the trooper. I gave him the phone, and he offered to take me to a hotel where we could stay and be safe. I refused, because I didn't want to uproot the girls without their clothes and toys that they loved. So I called my mom and asked her if the girls could spend the night with her. I drove them 30 miles to her house. Then I returned home to find my husband there tearing the house apart, looking for his phone, I assumed. The shit hit the fan when I walked in the door. I asked him what he was doing. He shouted at me that he lost something important. I cowered in a corner, hoping that he would give up and go back to work. He didn't. He turned to me asking if I saw his phone. He looked like he had fire in his eyes. I decided that I would lie. I told him that I did not. He came over to me and gave me a backhanded swat to my face. As the blood ran down my face, I asked him what the hell was going on and why was he hitting me. He called me a bitch and told me it was none of my business. I told him that I was leaving him. I was not going to put up with his abuse anymore. He said, "Fine, just go." I went upstairs to clean up my face and to start packing some things. He flew into the room, and seeing me packing, he grabbed a hold of me and threw me down on the bed. He started to tear off my clothes, and he hit me over and over again. I heard the doorbell downstairs, and I pushed him off of me and tried to run down to answer it. He grabbed me again and threw me back on the bed. He told me that if I made any noise, he would come back up and kill me. I was scared out of my mind, and I just lay there, bleeding and crying, huddled in the fetal position. I could hear the voices downstairs shouting, and what sounded like a scuffle. Then I heard the door slam, and I could hear footsteps on the stairs. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't. Then I felt a hand on my shoulder and heard a soft voice asking me if I was all right. James reached over with his other arm to envelop me in his arms. I wept quietly as I told him the rest of the story. The voice was that of one of the state troopers that I gave the phone to. They found out who the contacts were on the phone and were afraid of what might happen to me. The policeman found my robe on the door and draped it over me. He told me to get myself together and he would take me wherever I wanted to go. "But what about my husband?" I asked him. He told me that they arrested him and took him in for abetting known criminals for money. It seemed that they were investing several of the officers on the force, and they were zeroing in on him. But they needed the proof that I provided them with his phone. I was totally blown away. I would have never thought that he would do anything like that, but it does explain his change in behavior. I left that night and stayed in a hotel, and I went back to my house the next day to pack up our things. I only took our clothes and personal things. I was told that my husband would be put away for a long, long time. There were so many counts against him, including domestic violence. As I was not aware of his shenanigans, I did not have to testify in front of him or the drug lords he was protecting. But because of the clear and present danger, my daughters and I were given new identities and relocated to Baltimore. So I am here now, and I have to be very careful. There is no knowledge if there were others in the drug ring who are still out there, and I don't want my ex's friends or family to know where I am. Wow, sweetheart, you have really been put through the mill, haven't you? I am so sad that you and your little ones had to live through that nightmare. I wish I could make it all go away for you. It couldn't have been easy for you to tell me everything. He held me closely for a moment. Believe it or not, it wasn't all that hard to tell you. And you are the only person whom I have told other than my parents. I just feel so safe when I am with you. It is strange. I hardly even know you. I wiped my tears on my sleeve and sat up. "Can I get you a glass of wine?" he asked. "Yes, that would be nice, thank you," I smiled. I felt so much better that he knew about me now. It was like a weight lifted from my shoulders. He returned from the cabin with 2 glasses of white Zinfandel. "Lunch will be ready in a few minutes." He handed me my wine and looked into my eyes. "Do you mind if I call you Susan only when we are alone?" It felt so good to hear my name again. Yes, I would like that. I miss the old me. I gave him a sad smile. "Okay, Susan, you are as beautiful as your name sounds. I like it. No, I love it." And with a broad grin, he bent down and gave me a soft kiss on the lips. I could feel the heat again, searing through my body right down to my toes. I don't know what hit me, but I reached up with my free hand and pulled his face to mine and kissed him right back. I could feel him trembling. At that moment, I wanted him so badly. He took the glass of wine from my hand and set them down. He reached for my hands and pulled me to my feet. Then he folded me in his arms and our lips met and lingered in a long, passionate kiss. I melted in his arms. Neither of us wanted to let go from our embrace. "I adore you, Susan Lily." His hot breath wafted over my lips. I laid my head on his chest and hugged him close to me. Eventually we pulled apart, and he led me down to the cabin where our lunch awaited us. The table was set with fine linen and china. The chef came from the galley with 2 plates, chicken Chesapeake, a dish of thin chicken breast with crab imperial atop, and asparagus spears with hollandaise over it, a small Caesar salad, and French baguette, bread and butter. A lunch fit for a queen, James told me. The food was exquisite, as was the company. Dessert was a slice of cheesecake with fresh raspberry sauce. "Oh, James, I feel spoiled," I gushed. Again, mission accomplished. I must admit to you that I am trying to sweep you off your feet. After lunch, we went back up to the deck where we enjoyed the rest of the cruise. As the afternoon passed, I hated that it would soon end. I had to get the girls from school at 3:30. I wanted this day to never end. I said as much to James, and he replied, "Madam, your wish is my command. I never want this day to end either. We will pick up your girls together and take them to dinner. How does that sound to you, my Susan Lily?" I had to think on that one. Did I really want to have my girls meet James, who is practically a stranger? But he really isn't a stranger anymore. I knew all I needed to know about him. In fact, I had to admit to myself that I'm probably fallen in love with him. I guess it will be okay. I've trusted you with my secrets. I suppose I can trust you with my most prized possessions, my little girls. So we finished our harbor tour with some hugging, smooching, and laughing while we got to know each other better. What an awesome afternoon. Part 4. Twin Time. "Would you feel more comfortable if we included Emmy Lynn in our dinner plans?" he asked. "Oh, yes, that would be awesome. I would love to meet your daughter, too. But how can you do that?" I asked. "Where is she?" "She's on my jet at BWI. She should be finished with her lessons for the day. I will have her nanny put her in a limo and send her to us. Where would you like to have dinner?" The twins love the Cheesecake Factory. We can come back to Inner Harbor after we pick them up. There are tons of shops we can visit until Emmy Lynn gets here. "Oh, I am so excited," I said. He took out his cell and called the nanny. He instructed her to have Emmy meet us at Inner Harbor in front of the aquarium by 5 o'clock. It must be nice to have the conveniences he's able to afford. He explained to me that they live on their jet, and the nanny is also a teacher who helps Emmy with her cyber schooling and looks after her when he is away. They are quite close. We drove to the kids' school and he parked in the lot while I ran in to sign them out. I have arranged this with the school so that no one but my sitter and I can take them from school. I am a stickler for keeping these two as safe as I possibly can. When we were walking out to the Mercedes, I explained about my new friend who is going to take us out to dinner with his daughter, Emmy Lynn. They were excited about going to the Cheesecake Factory. "Mr. James, this is Madison, and this one is Michaela." I introduced them. "Hi, Mommy said that we are going to the Cheesecake Factory," Maddie said excitedly. "Hello, young ladies. It is nice to meet you both, and yes, if you like the Cheesecake Factory, I like it too," James said with a big smile. He was so sweet. He helped to get them in their seat belts in the back seat of the car. We proceeded to drive to the Inner Harbor area and parked the car in the parking garage. We walked hand in hand with the twins between us to the outside area of the aquarium to wait for Emmy Lynn. The girls were chattering away with their new grown-up friend, telling him how much they love coming down here to the harbor. They especially enjoy going to the Science Center and watching movies on the huge screen. We found a bench to sit on while we waited. Before too long, a limo pulled up and James walked to the street to meet Emmy Lynn. She was gorgeous. She had long dark hair and dancing blue eyes. She looked very much like her father. "Emmy, I would like you to meet my new friends, Lily and her twins Michaela and Madison." "Hello, Emmy. It is so nice to meet you. Your father has told me so much about you, and he is right. You are beautiful," I said to her, reaching for her hands to greet her. "Thank you, ma'am." She smiled. "Please, call me Lily," I said to her. "Wow, you girls really look alike. You must be identical, aren't you?" she asked the twins. "Yepper," they said in unison. They are so used to people saying that to them. "You can tell us apart by the freckle that Maddie has on her forehead," Michaela answered. We all laughed together as Michaela moved her sister's hair to show off the freckle. "Let's go eat, and then we can walk around the harbor a bit. Maybe we can rent some paddle boats and slop around in the harbor. Doesn't that sound like fun?" James inquired. A trio of yays echoed in the air. We moved along to the restaurant and got a table for 5 and had an awesome, noisy dinner. The girls were getting along quite well for the age difference among them. My girls are a bit mature for their age because of what we've been through, and Emmy was very patient and interested in them. After dinner, we went out to the harbor boat rentals and we rented 2 paddle boats, one for the girls and one for James and me. We had a wonderful time pedaling around the harbor. Then we went inside one of the buildings and got ice cream. The fudge factory had their heating tables right out in the open at their kiosk, and they were scraping, stirring the fudge, and singing aloud. The girls were glued to the floor watching and singing along. They gave samples of the fudge, and of course, James had to buy several different flavors to accommodate the different tastes. I hated to see the day come to an end. James and Emmy walked us back to our car and got the girls settled into the back seat. I hugged Emmy and thanked her for being so kind to the girls. I loved it. I have always wanted to have sisters. I hope we can see each other often. It is hard for us because we travel so much, but I had an amazing time. Thank you." "It was my pleasure. I had a wonderful time too," I told her as I hugged her. I turned to James, and he was smiling broadly as he watched me and Emmy interacting. "Thank you, James, for a delightful day and evening. You truly made me feel alive today. You provided me with a feeling of belonging and family that I haven't really had since I moved here. It is so lonely being a single parent and having to work all the time." "I would like to change all of that for you, Lily. I promise. I'm going to work on making that happen. Give me a little time." James took me in his arms and gave me a strong hug and a kiss on my forehead. I got into the car and we pulled off as they watched us waving goodbye. Part 5. Guess Who? When we got back to our townhouse, I unlocked the door and we went inside the house. As soon as we were inside, the door slammed shut behind me. There stood Dax Jenkins, one of the crooked cop friends of my ex-husband. I screamed. "Hi there, Susie Q, or should I call you Lily?" he sneered. "What the hell are you doing here?" I stammered. And then another person appeared, and it was Tom Long, my ex's former partner. He had been in our home often before the walls came crashing down. "Hi, Sue." Then he got down on his knees to talk to the twins. They recognized him and greeted him. "Why don't you girls show me your toy room? I would love to see your new toys." I was terrified and shouted, "No, don't go with him." "Aw, come on. Uncle Tom just wants to play a little with the girls. I've missed you two." He shot me a look that told me he wouldn't hurt my girls, so I let him take them. I didn't want them to be exposed to any more violence. I would have to figure out a way to get out of this alive. When the girls and Tom were gone from the living room, Dax came at me. He grabbed a hold of me by my shoulders and shook me hard. "Why did you rat out your own husband? "What the hell is wrong with you?" he shouted in my face. "He hurt me. He beat me up and he was breaking the law. I had to turn him in. The people he was messing with were evil and dangerous people. The state troopers were already watching him. He would have gotten caught eventually. Why didn't you get caught?" "I guess we were just lucky, I guess. And he didn't rat us out. That is our brotherhood. We have each other's backs. That is why we're here. We have his back. You did him dirty, and now you will have to pay the price." "No, please, what about my kids? They will have no one. You can't leave them here alone. They are too little." You have a point. They are little innocents stuck with a mom who sold their daddy out. They don't deserve to be hurt. Tell you what, I will allow you to make a call to a sitter. When the sitter gets here, you will be gone, and we will leave the door open for her to come in to stay with them." "No, please, don't do this. Just leave, and I will tell no one that you were here, please." "Sorry, sweetie. No deal. Now make your call, and don't let on anything is wrong, or I will blow your brains out with your kids right here in the house." "You are evil. You will burn in hell." Now I just have to figure out who to call. I can't call the police or he will shoot me. I know. I will call James and ask for Emmy Lynn. He will figure out something. I hope. So I pull my phone out of my purse and dial his number. Before he gets out his hello, I quickly interrupt him and ask to speak with Emmy Lynn. "You want to speak with Emmy?" "Yes. Something has come up and I need her to babysit for me right away. I have to go out. It is personal, so don't ask." "Well, let me get her on the phone." "Hello. Daddy said you need me to babysit for a little. That is all right. I will be there in about 15 minutes. See you then." Dax didn't seem to suspect anything, so Tom brought the girls back out and they instructed me to put the girls to bed. They stood in the doorway as I got the girls into their PJs and tucked them in. I gave them extra kisses, praying that this would not be my last time tucking them in. We opened the front door and watched for Emmy to get here. They agreed not to take me until she arrived. When she came in the front door, we would go out the back door. Tom had already taken their vehicle and parked it back in the alley and was waiting in it. It seemed like hours until I saw the lights of the car. My stomach churned as I waited, praying for help. Part 6. Surprise! Dax grabbed me roughly by the arm and dragged me quickly into the kitchen toward the back door. His pistol was pressed against the back of my neck. My heart was pounding so hard, I thought it was going to burst through my chest. He waited until we heard the car doors slam shut before he shoved me through the screen door and out onto the patio. All of a sudden, someone grabbed me and pulled me away from Dax. The man turned me away from Dax and told me that everything was going to be all right. He identified himself as Lieutenant Briggs from the FBI. "My kids! They're inside!" I screamed. "They're okay. Your house is surrounded by the Metro Police and other FBI agents," he informed me. He led me back inside the house while Dax was handcuffed and hauled away to a waiting vehicle. "There is another one in the alley in a car," I shouted. "No, he is being taken into custody too. He was the one who contacted the FBI and brought us here. He's an informant who was helping us to track down Dax, who is apparently the ringleader of the crooked cops your husband was hooked up with. I am not sure who called the police, but they also helped us surround your house." "It was James, my friend, I am sure. Are he and his daughter here?" I asked. "I think they might be in the police car. Let's go see." "I need to check on my girls first." So I walked back down the hall to their room, and when I tried to open the door, I found it was locked. I called out to the girls to unlock the door. "Mommy!" I heard their little feet pound their way to the door. Then the door came open and they flew into my arms. "Are you all right, girls?" I cried as I held them closely to me. Yes, Uncle Tom told us to stay in our room and lock the door until you said to open it. I heard a movement behind me, and when I turned, I see James and Emmy Lynn. I was so glad to see James. Emmy went into the twins' room with them, and she read bedtime stories to them until they fell asleep. James and I sat with the FBI agents and answered their questions and listened to the information they had. It seemed like they had been working hard on bringing in all of the bad cops. Finally, they left us alone, and I was so shaken, I begged James to stay with me through the night. I gave Emmy one of my smaller nightshirts and put her in the guest room to sleep, and James offered to sleep on the couch, but I wanted him by my side. So we both slept with our clothes on as he held me in his arms. For the first time in forever, I felt safe, happy, and loved. Part 7. And then? When I woke up in the morning, Emmy and the girls were in the kitchen trying to put together a surprise breakfast for us, and James was on the phone conducting some sort of business. James joined us, and the 5 of us enjoyed the breakfast that the girls had prepared. Emmy made scrambled eggs, and the girls helped with the toast. I put on a pot of coffee and pulled the orange juice out of the fridge. While we were eating, James announced that we were going to go for a ride today. The girls were excited to be spending the day together, and so was I. I had called off work explaining the scary situation we endured. We cleaned up and got ready to embark on our adventure for the day. Piled into the Mercedes, we headed out to the highway. We were on Interstate 83 headed north. Finally, James exited the interstate and drove back a country road. Then he turned onto a paved driveway that led us about a third of the mile and ended in front of a very large house. He cut the motor and got out of the car, came around and opened my door for me. "Wow, what a lovely house! Who lives here?" I asked, curious to see whom we were visiting. "I am hoping we will," he answered. "Come take a look." The girls squealed with delight and took off running around the house exploring. I was totally blown away. Surely he was not asking me to move in with him. We just met a couple of days ago. I followed him inside the huge front door. The foyer was beautiful. He took me on a tour of the empty house. 5 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms and fireplaces in the master bedroom, and between the family room and the kitchen, it was almost like a castle. "Well, what do you think, Lily? Do you think you could live here?" he asked, smiling. "Wow, I don't know what to say. Are you asking me to move in here with you?" I asked. "Lily, I know that we have just met, and you don't know me very well, but after last night, I can't think of leaving you and your girls. I don't want to put any pressure on you, and I'm not asking you to marry me. Not now, anyway." I felt a little relieved and disappointed at the same time. "I don't understand, James." "Here, come sit with me at the island, and I will tell you what I have in mind." We climbed onto the stools around a large island. Then he began to tell me his idea. "Ever since I met you, I can't stop thinking about you. I am pretty sure that I have fallen hopelessly in love with you. Being with you and the girls the other night made me yearn for home and family. I want Emmeline to be settled and not always flying around the world with me. She needs friends and a normal life. You live in a small townhouse and have to work so hard to support yourself and your girls. I've searched high and low for the perfect place for all of us. This house is large enough to accommodate all of us. There is a fantastic private school nearby where all of the girls could go. I would like to take you away from bartending. I am worried about your safety. This home is in a pretty rural area that is off the driven path. You and the girls will be safe here. I want to hire you as a nanny or governess for Emmy Lynn. We can each have our own bedroom and get to know each other better and see how it works out. No pressure, and we will have some time to see if we can be a family. What do you think about that idea?" He looked like a little boy waiting to see if he can get what he wants. "It sounds like a wonderful opportunity. I can spend more time with my girls and be a stay-at-home mom again." "I love the idea," I answered, and leaned over to hug him. "Wow, I thought I would have to beg you. You have just made me one happy man, and I know that Emmy Lynn will just love the idea." Holy shit! I just agreed to move in with one of the wealthiest men in the world. My mind was running a mile a minute, thinking of what our new life was going to be like. Part 8. Moving Day. James said that he would provide me with a couple of credit cards, one for household things and one for myself and the girls. He asked me if I wanted a salary or if I was good with using the cards and he would take care of them for me. I knew that he would easily take care of us, so I said the card would be fine. There was no limit to what I can spend, but I would not be taking advantage of that. "You can buy anything that you and the girls need or want. I trust you explicitly. I will hire a housekeeper to take care of things for you so that you can dedicate your time to the girls and whatever you want to do. Do you like to cook, or should I hire a housekeeper who can cook for us too?" "I love to cook, James. You don't need to spoil me so much," I laughed. "Well, I just want you to be happy, Lily. This is so important to me. I want us to be a family. You are the most perfect woman I have ever met. Your wish is my command. I want you to quit your job tomorrow, and we can work on this project together. I'm going to take the next few days off so we can get the house furnished. I will let you hire the housekeeper, and we can get the girls enrolled in school." "We are going to be a little busy, aren't we?" I said, feeling a bit overwhelmed. The girls came scrambling into the kitchen after they checked out the rooms in the house. James and I just sat there and smiled at each other as we told the girls what we have planned. They were so excited to hear that we would all be here together, and they went off to plan their bedrooms. "I am so happy you agreed to this idea, Lily. I so want to keep you and the girls safe, and I want Emmy Lynn to have some roots, and I am working very hard to get all my businesses in line so I will eventually be able to work from home." "That would be great, James. You are saving my life here, you know. As an educated woman, I find it very difficult to bartend, but I couldn't work in a school system because that would be the first place those jerks would have looked for me. I promise I will be the best nanny to Emmy Lynn and give her a sense of home and normalcy." "I know you will. I could tell from the first minute I met you that you were a good woman. I think that this is going to work out really well for us." "James, I never imagined that something like this would ever happen to me. I feel like a fairy tale princess who just hooked up with the handsome prince. I just wish I had more to bring to the table than what I have." "You bring your beautiful self. Are you kidding me?" He laughed and added, "And the sweetest little girls who will be the best little sisters to my Emmy Lynn. We will be rich beyond any imagination." James admitted that he was so confident that I would say yes, that he arranged to have professional movers come in today and pack up the townhouse and move everything into the new house. I didn't even have to pack. We drove to the airport, and I got to see how James and Emmy Lynn lived. The jet was amazing. I couldn't believe how much room there was. 2 bedrooms, living room, kitchen dining area, an office for James, and a study area for Emmy. I was impressed, but I know that a house will be much better for Emmy Lynn. She will have a home. They changed clothes and packed a bag for each of them for a couple of days until we would be settled in the house. Then we drove to a furniture store to buy the rest of the furniture we needed. When we arrived at the furniture store, we had a great time picking out a living room and dining room suite. James asked me to help him choose bedroom furniture since he hoped that one day we would share it. We chose a king-size bed and 2 wardrobes and matching nightstands. Then it was Emmeline's turn to choose a bedroom suite. She chose a canopy bed and insisted that the twins get beds like hers. James was easy, and so we got them too. "I would like all of this furniture delivered today, please," James told the salesman as he handed him one of his business cards. "No problem, Mr. Fulton. We will get right on it." He made a few calls, and bingo! We can deliver it by 4 today. "Great! Now what does all of this come to?" he asked. "With delivery, the total is $8,489.56, sir." James handed him a platinum visa, and within 1 hour, we furnished our new house. Next, we headed to Macy's to get bed linens and towels and other things we would need that I didn't already have. We loaded all of that into the trunk of the Mercedes. Then we went out for lunch. There are so many good restaurants in the Baltimore outskirts area. After a nice leisurely lunch, we stopped at a grocery store and picked up basics: laundry, detergent, milk, bread, eggs, food for supper tonight, and treats for the girls. I would email a larger order tonight to be delivered tomorrow. Everything was happening so fast. The furniture truck was just pulling in the driveway as we parked the car in the garage to unload it. I was totally blown away that all of this was happening today. I have never experienced a move like this in my whole life. Money walks and bullshit talks. That is what my father used to say, but I never knew exactly what that meant. The girls went outside to explore the neighborhood. While they were outside, we directed the delivery guys to the rooms where the furniture was going to be. They actually put together the beds for us while I was laundering all of the new sheets and linens. The living room came in last. Nothing had to be put together there. Everything was coming together well. As the furniture truck was leaving, the moving van pulled in with all my things. I couldn't believe it. Everything was neatly packed. They even brought the food from the refrigerator. There was a group of 8 movers, 6 who were unloading the truck, and 2 were working on setting things in each room and helping to unpack things. I felt like the Queen of England. They unpacked the dishes, loaded the dishwasher, and ran them through a rinse. They took all the boxes and wrapping out to the truck to get rid of them. I worked on making supper for us and putting the dishes and food away in the fridge and the cupboards. I was falling in love with this kitchen. All the amenities, stainless steel appliances, garbage disposal, trash compactor, microwave, 6-burner gas stove with a regular oven and convection oven, loads of cupboard space, and a small pantry to put away large cookware and canned and dry goods. I could feel that I was going to be very happy here. By the time dinner was ready, the moving van was leaving with all the boxes and trash, and the furniture was all set up. All we had to do was make the beds and put away our clothes. "Paschetti! My favorite supper!" Maddie squealed when she saw what I made for dinner. Michaela corrected her twin. "It's spaghetti, Maddie." "I don't care. I still like it," Maddie said as she went off to the bathroom to wash her hands. The others followed suit. We sat at the island to eat since we didn't have a tablecloth for the table yet. They all enjoyed dinner, and when I pulled out the ice cream for dessert, the hurrahs echoed through the kitchen. The girls rattled on about how wonderful the yard was. They loved the pool and the patio and all the trees at the end of the yard. There was a path in the little wooded area, and they of course had to check it all out. "There is a big metal fence at the end of the woods, Mommy," Michaela said. "Is that to keep us in our yard?" "No," James said. "It is to keep others out. There is an iron fence all around our property. We have many nice things, and we need to keep them safe." "Oh, that is a good idea. We have been hiding from some really bad men," Michaela reported. "You don't have to worry, little one. I will keep all of you safe, James said with a little smile. After we were finished with dinner, the girls loaded the dishwasher while I went upstairs to get the kids' bed made and their rooms organized. When they came upstairs, the girls were so happy to see their new beds, especially when they saw Emmy Lynn's bed too. They all helped to put their clothes away, and when it was time, I told them to take baths or showers. The rooms had ensuite bathrooms, so they could all get ready for bed at the same time. After they were all settled in their canopy beds, James and I went into his room to get it ready. I made up his bed as he hung up and put away the clothes he brought from the jet. As I was putting on the bedspread, I felt him come up behind me and put his arms around my waist. I turned and looked into those beautiful blue eyes, and he lowered his mouth to mine in a warm and tender kiss. I could feel the heat rise inside of me. "You are amazing, Susan Lily. This house already feels like a home." "Well, Mr. Fulton, you certainly know how to get things done. You snap your fingers and it's yours. Things happen." "That is what money can buy, but it can't buy someone warm and wonderful like you to put all of your special touches on it. You are one special lady." Then he kissed me again. He pulled me closer to him, and I could feel his hardness pressing against me. I felt the stirring of a strong desire to christen his new bed. I started to unbutton his shirt, exposing his sexy, hairy chest. "Are you sure?" he asked. "I have never been surer of anything in my life, James," I responded breathlessly. He didn't need to hear anything else. He gently undressed me and himself. He pulled down the covers and we climbed into the bed and explored each other's bodies, distributing kisses and intimate touches until we couldn't wait any longer. We made love several times that night. James knew how to please a lady very well. He is a generous lover, making sure that I was satisfied before he released himself. I don't think that I have ever been happier than I was in his arms. Epilogue. It didn't take James and me long to know that we were perfect together. We were married on Thanksgiving in a private ceremony at our home with our girls and a friend of James's who was a judge officiating. I heard from Tom, my ex's former partner who actually saved my life. He informed me that when my ex found out what Dax had done to me and the girls, he got extremely angry and turned in the rest of the cops who were involved in the cover-up for the drug syndicate. Even though he turned state's evidence, his sentence was not shortened. He told Tom to apologize to me for everything. That meant that we did not have to continue using our fake identities anymore. The girls liked their new names, so we let them keep their first names, but we changed their last names when James adopted them. James decided he wanted to call me Susan, and I was fine with that. We all went to Disney World in Florida as our honeymoon. It was like a dream come true for all of us. We were now a family, and we were happy. Our first Christmas as a family was wonderful. James bought horses for the girls and a new Mercedes for me. As nice as that was, nothing would beat the gift I was going to give them all. I was going to give them a new little sibling. My feet have not touched the ground yet. The end. This has been a Right On Press feature of Not Just Another Suit, distributed by Right On Press for Right On Press Nigeria. Copyright 2021. Right On ePublishing LLC. All rights reserved.